thank you so much for everyone who is attending this webinar and as well the one who's going to watch the recording webinar. My name is Daniela Rimondi. I'm Regional Sales Manager of AgEagle, and it's my pleasure for me being hosting this webinar today. So welcome to the regulatory benefits of eBee drones for BVLOS and flying over people. Before we start with the webinar, I'm reminding you that in the right side of the screen, you will find a tool to place questions. And by the end of this webinar, we're going to have 15 minutes of Q&A session where we're going to be more than glad to be answering all your questions. So don't be shy to ask. So today, we're going to have this webinar with a great team. So I let themselves to introduce themselves.
Hello, well, good morning, everyone. I'm Pierre-Alain Marchand. I'm Head of Regulation at AgEagle.
As well, we have here. Hi, Denisa.
Hi, I'm Denisa Cojocaru. I'm a Sales Manager at SysCAD Solutions.
Hi, I'm Adrian. I'm a drone pilot within SysCAD Solutions.
So to start with the webinar, I'm going to give an overview about what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about AgEagle, the drone regulations for Europe. We're going to also discuss with SysCAD about what use case on BVLOS project that they have in Romania. With Pierre-Alain, we're going to discuss about the SORA process. And also I will give you an overview of our eBee drone, and also I will let you know the current promotion that we have. So, as you might know, a few months ago, we became AgEagle. We are committed in develop drone sensor and software for intelligent and automated aerial data collections. In the drones, we are manufacturing the eBee, eBee, eBee Dio, and as well we have one drone specified for tactical mission or eBee TAC. In the sensor division, we are manufacturing Altum PT and also the Red P. And in the software division, we are developed and selling measure ground control software. So about our drones, we have a proven reliability. We have been manufacturing drones for more than a decade already. We have more than 1 million successful flights and more than 500,000 flight hours. As well, we have more than 70 distributors. To be more specific, we have 77 distributors worldwide. So you can have the service of sales and post-sales and support in Europe, in America, North America, Central America, Africa, and also in Asia. So to start, we're gonna go with Pierre-Alain, who's gonna explain us about the European drone regulations.
Okay, so yeah, so sure, I will take you through the new EU drone regulation. So from January 2021, the European regulation has been harmonized between all the member states. So the EASA and the European Commission, they have created a new regulation with different categories based on the risk of your operation. The first category is the open category. It's for classic flight. You need to fly visual line of sight under 120 meters, and you should not fly above people. These categories also divided in subcategories, so A1, A2, and A3. To operate in each category, you need a drone which is certified with the class label. So, for example, as you can see in the middle, the C2 label for VVX. For drones below 900 grams, they can temporarily fly over people. For drone below 4 kilograms, like the EBX, you have to respect an horizontal distance of 30 meters to uninvolved people. For heavier drones, so above 4 kilograms and below 25 kilograms, you need a drone. You need to respect a distance of 150 meters from almost everything. So you need to respect the distance from residential area, commercial area, industrial area, and also uninvolved people. So this really limits well, the kind of operation you can do with those drones. Then the second category is the specific category. So if you can't conduct your flight in the open categories. So for example, if you are flying beyond visual line of sight, BVLOS, or if you are conducting an operation over people, what we also call OOP, your operation will fall into specific category. To operate in this category, you need an authorization from your civil aviation authority. This process can be long, but we have worked to facilitate the process for all the EBX users, and I think Adrian explained a bit how we work together on that. The good thing if you are using a DBX is that we have already worked on some documents, and we have already worked with the EASA to prove some mitigation for your operation. So to get an authorization in the specific category, you have different ways to go, but I think the most complete one, and the one we'll discuss today, is the SORA methodology. So SORA means Specific Operation Risk Assessment. It's a methodology to describe the risk of your operation and also to ensure that to the Civil Aviation Authority that you will conduct the operation safely. This methodology has been developed by a lot of civil aviation authorities around the world, so it's a recognized tool, and it's applicable in all the EU member states according to regulation. There are 10 steps, but I think 4 of them are really crucial. So the first step is to describe the ground risk of your operation. Then you will describe the air risk. Then you combine the 2 risks and you get what we call the SAIL level, so specific assurance and integrity level. Basically, it's the total risk of your operation. And once you have determined the risk of your operation, you will need to comply with different operational safety objectives to make sure and to ensure to your civil aviation authority that your operation will be conducted safely. The eBee has already succeeded in different achievements in the regulation. So the EBX was the first drone to be approved with the C2 marking label for the open category back in July. We have, as I said, we also facilitated the process for BVLOS and operation of people in Europe. We already have customers flying this kind of operation. In the US, the EBX is the first and only drone to approve for operation of people, where you don't need a waiver to operate. It is also approved for operation for people in Canada, for BVLOS in Brazil, and the eBee, so it's also approved for operation of people in the US and Canada, and it's also approved by the US government, and it's marked as a blue SUS drone.
So thank you so much, Pierre-Alain, for this overview about the European regulations. So now we're going to discuss one use case of one BVLOS mission in Romania, and we're going to display and show you and explain a little bit more about the advantage of our drone and how it has been used for SysCAD. So hi again, Denisa and Adrian.
Hi.
Hello.
So Denisa, could you tell us more about SysCAD?
Yeah, this year was a great year for us. Actually, SysCAD Solutions marks 20 years of activity. So to answer to your question, our main activities are the distribution of surveying equipment, training and technical support, cartography, cadastre, photogrammetry, LiDAR services, and software solutions.
And could you tell us about a little bit more about the project that you performance?
We have this project mapping free stones quarries for volume calculation every 3 months. We are AgEagle distributor in Romania and service provider. SysCAD has 3 drones, and we offer services for surveying, cadastre, roads, and many others. And to return to the project that I told you about, for this project, we use eBee with RTK and endurance battery, and also SORA payload. In this picture is the pilot, Adrian, and his co-pilot and visual observer, Andrei.
Thank you, Denisa.
Welcome.
So Adrian, let's talk more in depth about the project. So what is the project goal?
Yes, as Denisa mentioned before, we have this project involving mapping 3 stone quarries for volume calculations in order for the client to pay taxes to the Romanian Ministry of Resources.
And when and where it was this project?
As you told earlier, this project is in Romania, in the southern part of Carpathian Mountains, and the mission was done at the end of September this year.
And which output did you generate by using EVX with the SORA?
So we output the results in orthomosaic, point cloud, and contour lines.
And could you tell us more details about the BVLOS project and the context?
Yes, the client has these 3 quarries that are 20 kilometers apart from each other, and we have to map them every 3 months. First, when we took on this project, we have to see the mission requirements. We needed, in order to achieve the desired resolution, we had to fly 300 meters above ground level and near populated areas. That being said, we fell under EASA specific category, and we wanted to stay less in the field, so we wanted to go BVLOS in order to find good spots for landing and taking off, and not to move every time we fly, in case we fly visual line of sight. So the BVLOS approval was for us reduced the time for the traveling, and we minimized the overall time spent in the field with about 2 hours, I would say.
So if you will have to say the best output or outcome by having the BVLOS is about the time that you are saving on the fields.
Yes, and minimizing errors, basically, because you spend less time in the field, then you have more time to do other missions and process everything.
That's great. And how did you achieve the BVLOS approval?
First, with the new regulations set by EASA, we had to develop an operation manual and the specific risk assessment because we fell under the specific category. Then, after we done the first part, we had to address the risks we found by doing the SORA process. So we would not put uninvolved people at risk, whether they were in air or on ground. We achieved that by actually setting a ground risk buffer near the zones. We set a NOTAM with the help of the Romanian Air Traffic Services for the period our drone was up in the air, and we developed an emergency plan for our operation.
And how was the SORA process?
I would say it was a bit hard at first because we are not used to aviation paperwork. As Denisa mentioned, we are a cadastre and surveying equipment dealer, right? So we had a rough time at first, but then and when we submitted the application, it wasn't approved in the first times. Then your design verification report came along and helped us achieve the approval of our operation.
So talking about all as well this collaboration with AgEagle to getting the BVLOS approval, how do you think it was, how useful it was, the help provided by Pierre Alain?
It was tremendous help because he, as I mentioned before, we did not know about the aviation paperwork. We were not used to it. And Pierre Alain helped me to first understand the process and then adapt everything to our needs. So thanks for help, Pierre, again.
So could you explain us what we are seeing now in the pictures, which is the operational lines that we see there?
Yes, these are the three stone quarries. So you can see different colored lines. I would start with the yellow rectangles. They are the boundaries of the NOTAM. The NOTAM keeps the other planes or unmanned aircrafts away with the help of Romanian Air Traffic Services. The most outer circle, the dark circle, is the boundary for the buffer zone we set up in order for our operation to be safe. The inner two circles that are dark and light orange, they are the contingency zone. It is set automatically when you set the working area in motion. So when you plan the mission, you have this 100 meters wide area for contingency procedures. Then inside the circles, you can see flight paths that are white and green. They are on ground and or on air. They help us to see where the drone is flying and what is flying above, so we can plan the mission better and, as I said before, put no people at risk.
So talking about the EBX, could you tell me which are the advantages for you as a drone service provider as well using eBee drones?
First of all, I would say they are lightweight and they are easy to operate. You set them up. You can see here in the picture how the drone and our setup basically looks like. In 10 minutes, we are up and running. We now are glad that the EBX has the design verification report, so that help us and other customers for operation over people and BVLOS operation. So it eases the approval process having that DVR from EASA. And it's a really reliable product. I mapped hundreds of hectares in a day for multiple days with no issues at all. So yeah, this would be my advantages.
And this is about the drone, but if we talk about emotion, which are the advantages that you see as operator?
It's a really straightforward software. It has built in all the safety procedures. You have everything at hand. So you can easily plan a mission from the office and then go in the field and redo the mission with another parameters or suits your needs, right? So it's a great tool, and basically you just program everything and then just watch the telemetry and the drone position and the sky, right? And you're good to go. It's really straightforward.
That's great. Well, for the ones who doesn't know about the eBee drones, in AgEagle, we not only manufacture the drones in itself, but also we develop our own planning software, which is Emotion, and we are really proud to develop that in-house. So we are constantly paying attention to the needs of our customers in terms of operational and also about the regulatory parameters. So About SysCAD, which are the next steps for this project?
So I would say this project doesn't need any other steps, just to fly it every 3 months as we agreed with the client. So that's it.
And do you need to renew the BVLOS approval each time that you are flying?
No, that's the beauty of it. We have this approval from the Romanian CAA, and as long as we don't change parameters like location, height, position of the drone, we don't need to renew our approval. We do to renew two other approvals that we got from different departments, from the Department of Defense in Romania, that is allowing us for taking pictures, and we do to renew our agreement with the Romanian Air Traffic Service yearly. So with these two entities, we do have to renew, but they are really straightforward. Just email them and have it done.
That's great. So it's really practical to have the approval of the BVLOS mission in itself. And if you keep the parameters, you can continue performance that missions constantly on the time.
Yes, and not only this mission, we have the operation manual and everything for this project. It's like a template. If we need to fly again other quarries and the environment and all things are the same, we can do that without getting another approval for the operation. So that's another great thing about this.
Yes, indeed. And about what are SysCAD's next project? What are you working on now?
So we started slow, I would say. We started with this project getting BVLOS, but over sparsely populated area, right? So now we want to go further. We want to fly over populated areas, over cities, and over crowded roads like highways, because we have a great demand into these two sectors. So we are going that direction.
That's great. So you believe that having the BVLOS opportunity to fly it will bring you advantage also in terms of your business and the different projects that you will be able to performance?
Yes, basically the first advantage, as I said earlier, will be staying less time in the field, because you don't have to change your position around to be in visual line of sight. And the other would be going over people to have to map cities and little towns and things like that. So yeah.
So thank you so much, Adrian, for sharing with us your project. Really, really interesting. And thank you as well, Denisa, for telling us about SysCAD. So it's a pleasure for us having the webinar and also to have you as a partner in Romania.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your inviting us.
So for continuing with the webinar, now we're gonna be back with Pierre-Alain, and we're gonna discuss about the SORA in itself and the process. So Pierre-Alain, tell us why SORA is so important.
Okay, so SORA is, well, quite important, I think, for the operators right now, because if you want, if you cannot conduct your operation in a classic way, so VLOS, not over people, which really limits the usage of your drone, your operation will fall into a specific category. And the most, as I said, the most complete ways to get an approval is to go through the specific operation risk assessment, so SORA. So I think it's really, well, this is why it's really important. If you really want to use the drone at its full capacity, well, this methodology would be mandatory.
And could you tell us about the process to get the SORA approval?
Yeah. So as I said, there are 10 steps, but 4 of them are really crucial. So the first step in the SORA, well, the first thing is to determine where you want to operate and what kind of operation you want to do, of course. Then, based on that, you need to determine the ground risk of your operation. So based on the characteristic of the drone, its size, its kinetic energy, and also the density of population you want to fly above, or if you want to fly BVLOS or VLOS, you will get well, a ground risk number, which corresponds to the risk of your operation from a ground perspective. The second step is to determine the air risk of your operation. So if you are flying well under a NOTAM like Adrian, there is no risk for the manned aviation. If you are flying in rural or urban area, there is more risk, but it provides you some tools in order to mitigate those risks. Once you have determined the ground risk and the air risk, you combine the two parameters and you determine the sail level, so the risk level of your operation. Once you have the sail, finally, when you have the sail, you have the OSO, so the operational safety objective, which depends on the risk of your operation, and you have to comply with, I think there are like around 20 OSOs. It goes from well, the manufacturer of the aircraft, the operator, is it trained. It goes also to your procedure, your emergency procedure, and for example, the meteorological condition you can fly, you can operate during your mission.
And could you talk to us through the different types of mitigation and how it benefits the operators?
Yeah, so you have ground mitigation and also air mitigation. The good thing is on ground, well, AgEagle has performed crash tests on the EBX with a US university. It's the picture you can see right now. So basically, we sent drones at full speed in fake human body, and they analyzed the response of the body. So they were able to determine if a fatality will occur or not. And the good thing with EBX is even at full speed, because the drone is made of foam, it's really lightweight, and so in case of crash at full speed, there is no risk of fatality. And this is not the case for heavier drones. So that's why the EASA, as Adrian said, they granted us with the design verification report, which automatically decrease the ground risk for all VBX operators.
I think that's great. Like in itself, we didn't need to do any change on the design of the drone to be able to comply with the regulation, as well the mitigation of the risk, because I think that when we operate drones, it's not only about our operation and the data that we are expecting to collect, and also is to fly in a safe environment, and knowing that you have the drone that will help you to decrease the risk for uninvolved people, I believe, no?
Exactly. So yeah, you have, well, the data you want to collect, but you also need to make sure and to ensure to your civil aviation authority that you will conduct the operation safely. And yeah, we didn't have to modify the drone, because the whole mitigation is based on the design of the drone. It can't fail because it's, as I said, it's based on the fact that the drone is made of foam. It's not a parachute, because parachute, it's okay, but it can fail while the foam can't, because it's, well, basically it's the design of the drone.
So Pierre, now we're going to discuss about mitigation, safety, and testing. Maybe to start, Adrian, he mentioned the DVR. Could you explain us what that stands for?
Yeah. So, well, DVR means Design Verification Report. It's a process for the EASA. So if basically the EASA is reviewing the design of the drone. So they reviewed the design of EBX. They reviewed the crash test result we did a few months ago, and based on that and their analysis, they determined that the EBX is not dangerous in case of crash. So everyone, as I said, everyone using an EBX, they will get a credit on their ground risk for the SORA. So it's well, it's really great. And yeah, it was really a good process. And from what I know, VBX is the only with this DVR process at the moment. Well, not to mention also that well, VBX is really lightweight, so 1.6 kilogram. It has no hard front plastic part, and also the motor is at the rear of the aircraft, so there is no probability of being hit by the propeller. There are different fail-safe automatic protocols or procedures in emotion. For example, if you lose the command and control link, the drone will automatically return to home, or I don't know, if the drone goes out of the geo-fencing area or outside of the working area, there is always an automatic procedure behind this failure. Last thing on emotion is that you can also use an external device which is called ping USB, and I think it's really, well, it could be really useful for BVLOS, because this device is collecting the position of the different manned aviation, and then on emotion, so our ground flying, well, our flight planning software, you can see the position of the aircraft directly in motion. So it helps you to react in case of incursion of manned aviation.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think that in terms of our future users as well, because maybe some people is doing us that they are not using eBee, it's great to know that in terms of the hardwares, we are complying with safety, but also about the software part.
Yeah, exactly. We have, yeah, well, the software has been developed like for now 10 years. So yeah, you can be sure that we have done everything we could to make sure your operation will be conducted safely.
Thank you, Pierre. So about the documentation. So let's discuss how long or hard is this documentation process to get the BVLOS approval?
Okay. This really depends on the Civil Aviation Authority, but from what I understood with our experience now, the process is, well, like between probably 3 and 6 months. But the good thing is that, well, using an EBX, you don't have to start from nothing, because, well, let's be honest, the SORA methodology could be a bit, well, you might be a bit afraid when you see it for the first time. But what we did at AgEagle is that we created a full set of documents. So it's basically a template that is applicable to Sail 1 and 2 operation. So we have created, templates for the document that will be requested by your Civil Aviation Authority. So it goes from an operation manual, compliance matrix, which goes through the 10 steps of the SORA, an emergency response plan that you can apply to your company, a checklist to verify that the eBee is fully functioning before the flight, even after the flight. We have also created a maintenance manual. So all those documents are requested by the authority when you want to operate under the SORA procedure. And well, it's hundreds of pages. But the good thing is that we are providing those documents to all VVX users. You just have to write us at regulatory@ageagle.com, and we can provide those documents to help you to start the SORA methodology, to understand it. We can also answer all your questions, and I think this will hugely help you to get your approval in a specific category.
Yeah, I think it's for the user is helpful to have those resources. And about this process, how our team and AgEagle collaborate with SysCAD for this project, and specific in Romania, to get the BVLOS approval?
Yeah, well, I think, I don't remember when it was, but I remember the first call with Adrian, and as he said, he was not really used to the SORA methodology. So first I presented the methodology, which I tried to understand what kind of operation they wanted to do. We analyzed, we determined the sail level of their operation, and then I shared with him all the documentation that he modified according to their own procedure. And then submitted to the Romanian CAA. And yeah, it was like back and forth discussion in order to answer some questions from the CAA. And finally, so yeah, I'm glad that they were able to get their authorization for their advanced operation.
So we could say that having those resources available for the user, it was an advantage for them to go through the process in a more like a deeply and faster way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm out of curiosity, how does the typical work day in the regulation team look like?
Well, usually, so first I try to help the clients the best we can for their advanced operation or on any question related to the regulation. On the other side, we are also, of course, following the regulation with the different civil aviation agencies around the world. So also the EASA, the FAA in the US, well, Australia, New Zealand, etc. We are trying to follow what they are doing in order to well, to make sure we will be able to continue to operate with eBee, to make sure our software remains compliant, and also to try to increase the safety for everyone. So yeah, we have a lot of discussion with the different authorities. We are also participating to the standardization committee. That's why the EBX was the first one to comply with the new C2 marking in Europe. So yeah, it's a lot of discussion with, well, it goes from client to civil aviation authority to also suppliers, for example, the PIN USB device to always find the best solution for the customer.
That's awesome. So, well, coming back to the way that they can contact you, maybe you repeat email where the users or future user, they can contact you if they have any question regarding certifications and regulatory topic.
Yeah, so well, you just have to write to regulatory@ageagle.com and I will try to answer as quickly as I can.
Thank you, Pierre. So, about SORA and around the world, is the SORA process going to be adopted in other countries or in other continents?
I think yes, and I think it's also already the case in some countries. So as I said, the SORA methodology was developed by a few and probably a lot of civil aviation authorities around the world. So I really expect that it will be well applicable in all the countries at the end. But for the moment, so it's in the law in Europe. It's one of the methodology to fly BVLOS or operation over people. It's also accepted in Canada. From what I know, it's accepted in New Zealand, Australia, and I know also in some countries in Africa. But we can check, and I can help you solve this question with the different countries.
Are there other drone manufacturers that have SORA mitigations?
So the EASA recently published a list of the DVR, so the design verification report they granted, and from what I know in its class, so not talking about the heavy, so a few thousands of kilograms, the EBX is the only drone with the M2 mitigation.
Okay, that's great. And are you currently working with other users to get the approval process for the BVLOS?
Yes, so well, Adrian received his approval for BVLOS over sparsely populated. I hope we will be able to continue with populated area. We also have a client in Ireland with VLOS over populated area. We are also working with clients in Germany, Denmark, Norway. We recently had a call with a reseller in New Zealand. So yeah, well, we are seeing this more frequently. We receive more and more questions. So yeah, we have. I hope in the near future we'll have a lot of authorization for the EBX customers.
Well, I believe that all around the world, users they are facing the same challenges of that they have to decrease the risk on the operation. As it's good to know that we have such a product that is safe and complying with this methodology of safety operations.
Yeah, it's really important, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Pierre-Alain, for sharing with us the overview about SORA methodology.
You're welcome.
So continuing with the webinar, I will give you an overview about our EVX drone. So as you might know, well, the remote in terms of for safety procedure is included with the remote ID ready to use. Also, the drone has been certified with the C2 level, as previously was mentioned by Pierre-Alain. With the RTK PPK activation, we are able to get 1.5 centimeters of absolute accuracy. And also we have 7 different sensors that you can integrate on the drone. The good thing is they are just click and really easy to integrate it. Within a few minutes, you are able to fly from using one RGB sensor to pass to a thermal sensor or to a multispectral sensor. Also, as has been mentioned during this webinar, is a really light drone, so easy to carry. The drone by standard comes with a backpack, so you can access to different terrains of mission in an easy way. So it's easy to transport. Also, the productivity of the drone in a day, you are able to map up to 2,000 hectares. That means that if for one single battery, one single flight, you can fly up to 500 hectares. So it's a really productive drone. And this is also well because with the endurance activation, you are able to fly up to 90 minutes. So here we have a video of the takeoff of our EVX. Do the takeoff of the drone within 3 minutes. You go to the fields, you turn on the computer, you start emotions, and then within 3 minutes you are ready to fly. The drone during the flight is fully autonomous, but in case if something is needed on emotion, you have different features and interaction between the operator and the drone. But in itself, if you set up the parameters, you can trust that the drone will do and do the mission with plenty safety that will follow the roads and the mapping plan. So we are about to finalizing the webinar in terms of the content. So we got some questions for the Q&A session. So to start, I think this question is for Pierre-Alain. Pierre-Alain, could you give us an overview of the regulations in the United States for BVLOS and OOP, please?
Yeah. In the US, so the SORA methodology is not recognized. If you want to fly BVLOS, you will have to request a waiver to the federal, to VFA. We can help you on that. And if you want to fly over people, as I said a few minutes ago, is BBX is the first and only drones to be approved for operation over people, and you don't have to request an authorization or a waiver. Everyone who has an EBX and who has their pilot certificate according to Part 107 in the US, they are able to fly above people with EBX.
Thank you, Pierre-Alain. We got a question, I think it's for Adrian. So Adrian, did you say you obtained a NOTAM from the National Aviation Authority? How many days it took you to comply and get up in the air? You have, can you hear? No.
Okay. Okay. So yes, I was saying that we have obtained a NOTAM, but in Romania, the NOTAM is set by a different entity than the civil authorization. It's set by the Romanian Air Traffic Service. And within a couple of weeks, we were ready to get the final approval from the CAA of our operation. So, yeah.
We have another question. I think that Pierre-Alain could help you with that. Is that what are the most dangerous risks considered for ground and flight operations?
Okay, so let's start with the ground risk. If your drone is not designed to operate over people, the main risk is that in case of crash, you can hurt someone, or even worse, you can kill someone. So, well, the good point is that with VBX, we have already conducted crash tests. They are recognized by the FAA and by the EASA also in Europe. There is no risk of fatality. So from, well, a ground risk perspective, the worst would be a fatality. If you have another drone, heavier, which of course is much more dangerous in case of crash, the only solution is to add well, an external device like parachute, etc. But it will add even more weight. It can fail, etc. So, but I really recommend, if you want to fly over people, you really need to choose a drone that is designed for that and recognized also for that by the different civil aviation authority. On the air risk, I think well, the worst would be to hit like general aviation plane, but well, that's why, for example, Adrian asked for NOTAM for his BVLOS operation, but we have you also have other ways to do so. You can use like visual observer on the ground to check the airspace. You can also use external device like the ping USB that is supported by Inocean, which allows you to detect and display the cooperative aviation on, well, directly on the screen of the flight planning software.
Regarding emotion, we have a question. Which are the safety features that has emotion for BVLOS operations?
Okay, so well, I'll try to list all of them. So I know, for example, if you lose the command and control link, the drone is automatically returning to home. It's also the case, for example, if you exceed a certain speed, if you go, if the drone goes out of the operational volume, the drone is doing an emergency landing. Also, if there is too much wind. I can't recall all of them, but yeah, we have a lot of safety feature. Well, basically for all the warning, all the failure situation, we have tried to have no well, failure that could be really dangerous. We are always taking an action in case of warning or in case of even worse, a failure on the drone.
I have one question here is like, are the template documents for free? I think that they are referring to the documents for the SODA to apply to the SODA methodology.
Yes, so yeah, we provide those documents for free to all the EBX users. The only thing you have to, well, we have is to sign an NDA because of course we don't want them to use for other manufacturer and other drones. So if you have an EBX and you want to operate in a specific category, so just write us an email at regulatory@ageagle.com. And I will share the document with you. I can, as I said, I can also support, explain the SORA methodology if you are not familiar with it. We can have dedicated meeting to your operation.
I have one question, maybe Adrian could help us. It's regarding which camera did you use? I think you mentioned it, but...
Yes, we use the SODA camera, the 20 megapixels camera.
Okay. With the activation of the endurance, with the endurance activation as well, seen it?
Yes, we have endurance activation also for our drone.
So here we have another for you for SysCAD. So once you get the BVLOS approval, you don't have to renew flight permission to each flight?
No, we don't. Basically, as long as we keep the same mission requirements. Yeah, if we keep the same altitude, if we keep the same position, we can do the mission again and again, no worries at all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, here we have more commercial questions, like, can I exchange my eBee SQ for EBX or any other modified eBee drone with a few more errors? Well, as I say during the promotions, if you are updating, if you want to update your fleet passing from one legacy product to one EVX, we currently have two promotions. One is keep you payloads, and the second one is like the premium configuration of the EVX, RTK, PPK, and a premium sensor. So Simon, that you're asking us, feel free to contact us at info@ageagle.com, and we're gonna go back to you with a quotation. Then let me check more questions that we have. We have regarding the mission, Vincent, he's asking, did you use a tablet? If so, which one? I think Adrian is for this BVLOS operation.
Yes, we don't use a tablet, we use a laptop that we have in the field. We also use a generator as a backup energy supplier. So we don't have troubles in the field whatsoever. Also, we have most of the time we have a different laptop near us because we don't want to spend time figuring out the issues.
Thank you, Adrian. We have another question regarding the United States. Does the flight over people whoever in the United States apply to all EVX, even older ones, or just newer versions?
Well, they apply to a version, but I think we have started to produce beginning of 2022. But I think the best thing, well, if you want to know if we can retrofit your drones, you can once again write at regulatory@ageagle.com. You just provide me a serial number, and then I can internally check if well the hardware component of the drone are the one which were certified by VFA.
So if someone else has another question, feel free to send them now. I think we have been through all the questions that we have for the moment. I don't know if Denise, Adrian, Pierre-Alain, there is any point that you would like to go back and you think is important for the people who is watching this webinar to have it in mind and remember?
I would start. I would have some ideas, some tips for the BVLOS process. So the main concern of flying BVLOS is the position of the drone relative to the ground, the obstacles, and the manned aircraft nearby. So you could take into account some steps. As Pierre-Alain mentioned earlier, you could use some devices like pin USB that tracks other aircrafts. You can see them displayed in the Emotion software. You can also try to minimize the overall time your drone flies in BVLOS. So by selecting a good spot for the landing and taking off, so you have a suitable home. You can also, when you start the process and you send the paperwork to your local CAA for the approval, you also want to mind the surrounding airspace. So when you plan your mission, you don't want to be near an airfield or airport. So keep in mind those things when you do the mission planning and also the whole process of for approval.
I think we just got one question from Pierre, really interesting. It's asking about if there is not need to apply for BVLOS permission, SORA applicable in European Union countries outside Romania. This is the situation for all the European Union, or will only apply to Romania?
You mean the SORA methodology, I guess?
So the SORA methodologies in itself, I think, they say that the permission that they get for the approval with the SORA methodology, if it's applicable, it's only one permission that you get once, and then if you repeat the mission in the same condition, I guess it's a question regarding about, it's like this is only applied for Romania, or is also applying for different countries in Europe?
Okay, so well, technically in the European regulation, normally if you if you get an authorization in a country, you might be able to reproduce the same operation with the same operational limitation, as Adrian said, the same drone, the same altitude, etc., in another country. Normally, well, you still have to to ask for the authorization to the second country where you want to operate, but it will facilitate the process to know that the operation has already been approved by another CAA. But yeah, well, in the European regulation, there is an article about the cross-border operation. So yeah, it's possible. We just have to look at this. I'm not really aware of a lot of people doing that, but technically speaking, it's possible to reproduce this operation in another country.
I can add something to this question. When we started the whole process, yeah, we needed the NOTAM approval, and also we needed an approval from the Department of Defense for taking pictures. So you think these two approvals are in Romania, so maybe other countries have different rules besides the aviation rules and the drone regulations that you might want to take into consideration. So you can get the same approval, but mind that might be different steps and different other approvals to take.
Well, so finalizing for the question, the Q&A sessions, I will just ask the last question to Denisa. If you could tell us how much it was the cost of the BVLOS process in itself for you?
Oh, the costs are really less than 200 euros. And are just for the analyze the paperwork by the CEA, the documentation that Adrian sent it to them. So the costs are not so.
Okay,
it's
that's
less than 200. And I want to add something that eBee technology, it's increase safety and save time and money, and that it's really important. And another thing, if I may, Daniela, I want to tell the people that are watching us, the people from Romania. I understand there are a lot of people from Romania registered. That SysCAD will have Black Friday, Black Week, we said next week. So just send us some emails and you'll find out what it's about.
Yes, sure. Denisa, maybe for the ones who are in Romania, how they can contact you, which is the email address?
Yes, the email address is office@cadsolutions.ro. office@cadsolutions.ro.
Okay, super. And also for everyone, if you have any question regarding our products, we're going to be more than happy to help you. Just send us an email to info@ageagle.com. Also, we invite you to visit us on our new website where you're going to find our portfolio of drones, sensors, and also softwares. And as well, remember that the webinar will be sent to you in the next 24 hours. You're going to have the recorded. Also, you're going to have the PDF slides, so for you to analyze it. And also, you can answer us back in the same email where you are receiving the link for the webinar. If you have any questions, you know we are always here. You can find in our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yep. So thank you so much for being attending the webinar. And the question that we were not able to answer during the Q&A session, we're gonna I will personalize, go through them and send you an answer as soon as I can. So thank you so much for everyone for being watching it. And thank you as well, Adrian, Denisa, and Pierre-Alain.
Thank you, Daniela.
You're welcome.
Ciao.